All right, it's Jared from Tone Wars. I'm here with Justin, and we're at the Two Notes Torpedo booth, and we are with their new product, which is the ReVolt. And this thing is freaking awesome. Look at that, get the tube in there. It's got a freaking tube in it.
And the tube actually does something.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's not just for show. So go ahead and give us a quick down and dirty
Sure.
on this, and let's get her done.
So we'll start with the tube part. There's a 12AX7 in there that's actually operating at 200 volts. What does that mean? Well, first of all, we're running a 12 volt DC 500 milliamp, and we're stepping that up with a DC to DC converter, pushing that right at about 200 volts. Most people don't understand that a preamp tube needs to handle at 180 to 200, a little over 200 volts to actually work correctly. And you're going to go, well, what does that mean? Well, that allows the dynamic range that you need for like a tube amplifier to work correctly, but it also has a lot to do with the feel and response. So if you want to make an amp in a box, you have to make sure it's driving like it should be. And piggybacking off that, this is a full analog design. We're known for making the Captor X and the Cab M and doing all the modeling technology. This is a little bit of a departure from that, but they do work together in a symbiotic relationship. But this is a full analog end-to-end, but it has digital switching, so we have MIDI in and out. You can access the switches different ways. You can control other devices. So there's a lot in a little, but we want to make it easy to use. So something that you may appreciate, since you have so many amplifiers, we have a 4-cable method, and that's a little different than what you would think of 4-cable, meaning routing effects in and out of the effects loop. Okay. If you use the 4-cable method into this, for instance, say you have a Marshall amplifier like an 800, something that has a single preamp. Okay. If you put this in the effects loop in return, you've now added 3 extra channels plus assignable boost, so you get almost 6 channels extra, but you still get the 800 in there as well, because you can bypass this and still use that channel.
And the tube tone in this won't separate it so much from what you're using in the amplifier. Exactly. It'll blend in really well with it.
So it becomes like an extension, and very much like a tube preamp, by the way.
A true extension.
Yeah, and the easiest way is anybody that's familiar with the Synergy type preamps, it's kind of, we weren't trying to copy that, but that's just a sub-function of what this does.
Well, this is completely different anyways, because it's got way more to offer. I mean, you have 3 channels here, so you have a clean, and you have a crunch, which is probably like a classic rock tone, maybe.
So this was modeled, or not modeled, we had a Bassman, we had a Plexi, and we had a Soldano amp that were our reference amplifiers, and we were A-Bing back and forth to make sure the tones and the response were correct. So I'll just go back to the one thing, like that's one usage, is using this as an amp extender is what I call it.
Okay.
The primary audiences will be, like an amp in a box.
Yeah.
So all your channels and everything are kind of self-contained. There's an XLR output on there that you can go straight to a mixing board.
And it's got a Vintage 30 speaker.
Vintage 30, it's a slash cabinet is what we use.
Right, cool.
And it's an analog filter. Again, this is an all analog device, but you can easily use any of the other outputs, or you can defeat that cabinet simulator and go to anything like any DAW, or use any kind of cabinet IR or something like our Cab M. Exactly. So it's all about expandability and flexibility.
Nice.
So this really was designed primarily as an all-in-one solution, to be your amp rig.
All right.
And it also has an effects loop in the back of it, so you can route any effects, and those are all pre-output. So you're not trying to, you can keep everything self-contained.
You got an effects loop in it, you got the real tube feel and tone in it, you have 3 different sounds you can get. You got clean, crunch, and lead.
Correct, and then we have an aux in and a headphone output as well.
And then you have the cab sim, so you don't have to bring anything external with you.
Correct.
And then you also have the software.
Yep.
Just do a quick look at the software here.
So this is our new software. It's called Genome. Right now we've got a handful of studio effects in there, but it's kind of the next generation of wall of sound, but it's very expandable. So right now we've got things like delays, reverbs, choruses, all kinds of studio EQing and things like that. But you get a lot more control and dynamic nuance that you couldn't get out of wall of sound. Plus the experience is completely different. We have 2 amplifiers in there right now, and we have a lot of really cool stuff in the works.
I like the fact that you got all the effects and stuff in there too, so it's truly like one size.
Yes.
Like everything's there. You can plop it on the floor on stage. It's direct in front of the house. You got everything you need.
Exactly. So for somebody at home, for instance, we will be bundling this with 10 of our Dyna-R cabs.
Oh,
so if you're at home and you're recording, which a lot of people do, plug that in there, and you get all that. You get the best of both worlds, so to speak.
And you guys got a lot of great cab emulations as well.
Yeah,
So
almost about 600.
Yeah, so if you can't find something in there, you're not looking hard enough. I mean, I love what you did with the Rev. I love the cab emulations in there. I plug in stereo sound.
Yep.
I practice with it all the time with my studio monitors, and it sounds and feels great, So I think you guys did a great job. So before we leave, Justin's going to shred a little for us, and we're going to call it good. Just come on the way.
So first of all, we've got the Fender channel, and then we can add a boost to that. So that's the clean with the boost. And then we have and the crunch kind of starts after 10 o'clock, about like a plexi. And then if we drive it harder, and then if you want to take it further, we've got a boost on that too. So you're really on the second channel still, and you got all that gain. And then our third channel is the SLO 100 channel, which is even more gain, but a different feel. And if that's not enough gain, you can add in that. And it's still quiet too.
You got a boost pedal and all that in there.
Yeah, so you get kind of 6 channels out of 1.
There you go. Well,
That's
awesome.
the ReVolt.
That's awesome. Well, thanks a lot, Justin.
Yeah.
I really appreciate your time.
Thanks, Jared.
Well, thanks for watching. And I'm telling you, I'm impressed. That sounds and looks amazing. I think you should look into that product. I really think it's awesome. I like the fact that it's got all the stuff in-house. You know what I mean? You can just take one thing with you and use it. So I think you guys are on the right track. And I'm going to check one out too. So,
Thanks, Jared.
yeah, awesome channel. All right, we'll see you on the next video, guys. Thanks for watching.